welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Guman singing our top story in commemoration of the 169th 1848 Emancipation of the Virgin Islands, the history, culture, and tradition. That foundation, they hosted enriching spoken word and cultural entertainment to the community at the Butto Park in Frederickstead. The foundation geared the event towards the youth and invited Anumat Davis Kaina, former Miss St. Croix and certified peer counselor, to share potent words on self-determination and self-identity. Other young poets also shared their thoughts on emancipation, and the well-noted Virgin Islands poet Richard Schrader's poem of Frederickstead resonated with the audience. Here's more.
For freedom and liberation from the perimeters and periphery of pressures, powers, and the elemental forces that restrict human family growth and maturity as sovereign nations. The importance and remembrance of July 3rd, 1848 as Emancipation Day in the place today called the Virgin Islands is its historical demonstration and recordation of the once enslaved indigenous African Caribbean people of the Virgin Islands.
Our history is so deep that we got lost along the way, but history has its way of recreating itself. Are we finally getting the gist of the story? Because it is time to publish the story of our roots. And why are we so afraid to encourage our youth? We need no editors, no peer reviews, because life is already illustrating our stories.
Freedom in Frederickstead. Come all you people of these once Danish Isles. Come celebrate that happy day of long ago in Frederickstead. Blow the conch shell, ring the bell, to the whole world the story tell. When cruise and slaves free themselves in Frederickstead. Bold divine 8,000 strong, they march through the town shouting, today, our freedom must come. Blow the conch shell.
Meanwhile, Senator Terrence Positive Nelson hosted the 17th Annual Emancipation Freedom Walk on St. Croix today. And that event is an annual event. That walk began at 5 a.m. from Christian Vern to Fort Frederick in Frederickstead. The firewalkers, along with other residents, walked to commemorate enslaved Africans and their leader, General Moses Butto Gottlieb, for fighting for the freedoms we have today. Senator Nelson delivered a freedom message at a service of Thanksgiving at the St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Frederickstead. Meanwhile, here on St. Thomas, Emancipation Day events were held as well at the Emancipation Garden by the Emancipation Coalition. Several dozen community members gathered in Emancipation Gardens for a lineup that showcased local traditions and presentations that highlighted the historical and cultural connections between Africa and the Virgin Islands. The theme is African liberation and self-determination are irresistible. It included a drum call by the Wajangi drummers, libation by Akinyemi, Mariel, and Felicia Blake, and the conch shell blowing by the Meade family. The historical Emancipation Proclamation was also read to the crowd. Here's more.
We are observing, celebrating, and reflecting on Emancipation Day, when our ancestors freed themselves from chattel slavery on July 3rd. We feel this is the most significant historical event that we should observe. Our ancestors have sacrificed and struggled for that we can enjoy the rights and freedom today. So we give honor and tribute to those ancestors. We know two of the leaders, General Butto and Admiral Martin King. So we always been celebrating this holiday since the 90s. We encourage one and all to value this day.
We thank all the people who came out, the cultural presentation, the speakers, the orators. We had such a wonderful program today. We're so happy that people realize that this is important, not just for today, not just for our generation, but thanking our ancestors for their sacrifices and teaching our future the importance. We made that crucial choice to come out today and learn our history firsthand. We ask that people continue to celebrate each and every day and move forward each and every day to strive for liberation by learning your history, celebrating your history and culture, and educating yourself every day about the contributions that our people have made. Asante Sana to everyone.
Now, Governor Kenneth Mapp has proclaimed this Freedom Week in the U.S. Virgin Islands in accordance with Act Number 8002. Emancipation Day, July 3rd, has long been recognized as a holiday in the U.S. VI. Freedom Week has been proclaimed from June 26th through July 3rd. Now, Freedom Week encompasses two significant dates in territory's history. July 2nd, 1848, when a call went out to enslaved Africans to come to Fort Frederick in the town of Frederiksted, and July 3rd, 1848, when Governor General Peter Van Schulten, then governor of the Danish West Indies, officially announced that all unfree in the Danish West Indies are from today free. Governor Mapp says due to their heroic efforts, the enslaved Africans in Frederiksted, St. Croix succeeded in freeing all unfree persons in the Danish West Indies from the bonds of chattel. The proclamation states, "I urge all people of the Virgin Islands to take a moment and think about, had it not been for the brave efforts of our ancestors that came before us, we would have never been able to enjoy and experience the freedoms that we have today." Enslaved Africans on St. Croix rebelled again against Danish colonial enslavers in 1848 and gained some freedom for Virgin Islanders. However, after the rebellion, Virgin Islanders were still binded into servitude through contract labor. And in 1917, the Danish West Indies was purchased and transferred to the United States without any input from Virgin Islanders. While still under colonial rule and disenfranchised, the discussion on political status in the territory is being analyzed. Stephanie Brown reports.
Today we observe Emancipation Day. However, colonization in the territory is still prevalent, and Hedaya Sur-Gibney, a native St. Johnian and doctorate candidate at Brown University, thinks sovereignty would be a good option to safeguard the economic success and cultural identity of Virgin Islanders.
At the moment, I am incredibly pro-independence. I think that while we still have a lot of issues that we obviously have to work through in terms of figuring out how we're going to grapple with the challenges of neocolonialism in our world economy, I think that independence is the way in which we might be able to deal and maintain with our cultural identity as U.S. Virgin Islanders or Virgin Islanders better. I think that statehood might lead to certain degrees of assimilation that we may not necessarily be ready for.
There are three types of political status recognized by international law, which include independent sovereign countries, internal countries under protection of another country, like the British Virgin Islands and the UK, and colonies, such as the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, that are under the control of a sovereign nation.
So independence is never necessarily an easy road for any post-colonial territory.
There are 195 independent sovereign states in the world. Since 1993, there have been 9 new countries, with the last being South Sudan in July of 2011. All of these countries are facing their own issues.
I think there are several things that we have to consider. One, there are economic challenges in terms of the way that neocolonialism tends to function in the world, broadly speaking. We are a small territory, and therefore we're going to have to try to figure out how we can establish an economy that doesn't necessarily buckle to some of the lending challenges or World Bank issues that tend to come up in other independent Caribbean nations.
According to the Pew Research Center of Global Attitudes and Trends, there is a widespread belief among all people in most nations that their culture is superior to others and needs to protect themselves from outside forces. With a whopping 64% higher than most countries, the U.S. felt their culture was superior than others. Hedaya felt that statehood would not be a good option for the territory.
In the United States of America and the U.S., broadly speaking, has a lot of issues with systemic and institutionalized racism. And so if we were to try to become integrated in the United States, I think that we would have an entirely different road to travel in terms of negotiating what our identity is as U.S. Virgin Islanders, but also negotiating questions of equality and autonomy, but really thinking through questions of what does freedom mean to us as a people who are consistently dealing with the ramifications of colonialism, but also dealing with the fallout of slavery.
So as the proclamation of June 26th to July 3rd as Freedom Week is now enacted as law, Hadea, who also is a professor at UVI, stands on the same premises of those that have fought for the territory's emancipation out of slavery.
I think that independence really gives us a certain sense of national and cultural pride within a context of Black liberation that's actually really important for post-colonial, which we would ideally be moving towards, people to negotiate or to try to work out.
Now, along with defensive plans to safeguard the territory, Hadea also pointed out the nepotism is an issue that would have to be controlled if the Virgin Islands were to be an independent nation. Well, government offices, banks, and the post offices closed today. Some private businesses opened half day. The management and staff of VIA joined with the VI to commemorate Emancipation Day and Independence Day in the U.S. VI. Now, the customer experience centers at Estate Diamond in St. Croix and Tutu Park Mall here in St. Thomas were open today. The center on St. John was closed today, Monday, due to a pending maintenance matter. Now, all VIA offices will be closed tomorrow, Tuesday, July 4th, and resume normal business hours on Wednesday, July 5th. VIA's Customer Experience Center at Tutu Park Mall in St. Thomas and Estate Diamond in St. Croix are generally open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, the center at Marketplace in St. John is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, Independence Day, also referred to as the 4th of July or July 4th, it's a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the adoption of the Declaration of Independence 241 years ago on July 4th, 1776. It has been a federal holiday in the United States since 1941, but the tradition of Independence Day celebrations goes back to the 18th century and the American Revolution from 1776 to the present day. Now, just a quick programming change note to our viewers due to the 4th of July holiday. News 2 will not air on Tuesday, July 4th. The newscast will be preempted by an episode of VI Ambassadors entitled Passing the Torch. Again, News 2 will be preempted on Tuesday, July 4th for a special VI Ambassadors entitled Passing the Torch. We will be back to our regular scheduled program on Wednesday, July 5th. Now, St. John also held an event in O'Connor's Village in Love City in recognition of Emancipation Day. It's an addition to the festival events. Here is the St. John Festival Public Relations, Alicia Wells, with more.
And last year, a play was being done by Dr. Gilbert Sproul and some others, and this year they've expanded that. We have Cindy Jurgen, who has been working with the group, and Pamela Samuel, who's also working with them. And these persons have worked real hard for a few weeks trying to get this play to show what took place in 1848. So it's a good experience. Of course, tomorrow is a national holiday, but today is just as important. We're going to have quadrille dancers. We're going to have various readings. We're trying to involve, like I said, mostly the children so they could understand and know the significance of the day. The village has been really, really good. Tonight we have our city and some other bands, and that's a good experience because there's no place you can go to get all of the artists that we have that's free. All you have to do is pay your transportation to come over. So it's a good thing. And then tomorrow, of course, we have our parade starting at 11-ish, and we go until the end of that. So come early and stay late and join us for a festival because it's always a good experience. You get to see all your friends who you haven't seen in a long time. Our coronations were really good. The food fair was excellent. The food fair honoree this year was Karen Samuel. Our village honoree is Robert O'Connor Jr.
Now here is a quick recap for tonight in the Village. It's Vibe from the BVI, Romaine, Virgo from Jamaica, USVI, Our City, and Asa Banton from Dominica. Tomorrow, 4th of July, it's Awi Band Cool Sessions, both from the VI, MX Prime, Destra, Farmer Nappy, and Orlando Octave, all four from Trinidad. Tomorrow morning, of course, is Juve from the St. John National Park. Festival parade starts at 11, as Miss Alicia Wells just shared. Then the festival fireworks, keep that on the calendar. That display is at 9 p.m. in the Cruise Bay Harbor, closing everything up. Well, while the fight is over, healthcare takes a back seat with Congress departing Capitol Hill for recess at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue. A high-stakes week for President Trump, the president working the phones, speaking with leaders around the globe, including China, Italy, and Japan, before departing for the G20 summit in Germany, where he will sit down with many of these leaders in person. Perhaps the most anticipated meeting, his first face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Sources say President Trump is not expected to talk about Russia's meddling in the U.S. election, but will instead focus on Syria and the Ukraine, causing some Democrats to bristle. President Trump returns to Washington from New Jersey tonight. Tomorrow, he will host military families for the 4th of July before leaving for Europe on Wednesday. Keeping our eye on the economy, Samsung is launching a new phone made from recalled Galaxy Note 7s. The refurbished, less expensive phone will be available in South Korea later this week. The company is renaming it the Galaxy Note FE, short for Fan Edition. Samsung was forced to recall Galaxy Note 7s after a number of the devices exploded in flames. The FE has lower capacity batteries and went through extensive testing. It will also be about 30% cheaper than the original phone. Samsung has said it does not have plans to sell the new version of the phone in the U.S. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch there. The numbers, the Dow up 129 and NASDAQ down 30, S&P 500 up 5. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead, including crime reports on the police blotter. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Turn our attention back to Washington. CW5 Randolph A. Bergen, who is a native of St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, he retired on June 16th after an impressive 40-year career in the U.S. Army. Bergen began his Army career in December of 1976. At the time of his retirement, he held the position of Senior Signal Technical Advisor, 11th Theater Tactical Signal Brigade. That's in Fort Hood, Texas. CW5 Bergen served overseas during his military service in Germany, Korea, Panama, and Italy, as well as combat deployments to Saudi Arabia, along with various U.S. mainland assignments. His awards and decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and Army Commendation Medal. In retirement, Bergen and his wife Levine plan to settle in the Central Texas area. On behalf of the 340 Group LLC, who's the managing partner, Alvin Dalmeda presented CW5 Bergen an official centennial coin as part of his retirement gifting in recognizing this outstanding Virgin Islanders' accomplishments, service, and contributions to our nation. Bergen is a 1976 graduate of the Ivana Udokan High School. He advises Virgin Islands youth to take advantage of their education. Turning to some crime reports on Sunday, July 2nd at 3:41 a.m., 62-year-old Elwood Canton Jr. was placed under arrest and charged with murder in the second degree. Police reports indicate he and the deceased, Mr. Gregory Barnes, got into a minor dispute. However, Mr. Barnes became aggressive and confrontational with Mr. Canton. Mr. Canton attempted to leave the area. However, Mr. Barnes persisted and physically pushed Mr. Canton in the chest, who then shot and killed Gregory Barnes. According to VIPD, his bail was set at $500,000 and he was remanded to the Golden Grove Detention Center pending advice of rights hearing. Well, police say they continue to search for a suspected rapist on St. Thomas. And you may remember the series of gunpoint rapes began nearly a year ago on the east end area of St. Thomas. They say the case has stalled a bit, but investigations continue. Police have taken some DNA samples from at least 5 men, but they say none of those samples matched the DNA collected from the victims. A sketch was revealed. You can see it right there. However, they believe the victim could have altered his identity at this point. He's described as a black male, approximately 5 feet 5 inches tall, between 18 and 25 years old, and weighs 125 to 30 pounds. Now, police held some town hall meetings to give some updates and offered some safety precautions as well, which we shared on our newscast. They say a $10,000 reward for information remains in effect, and police are seeking any tips and any tips and help they can get from the public. Now, you can call the VIPD, or you can call Crime Stoppers USVI at 1-800-222-TIPS. Police say on Saturday, July 1st at approximately 4:53 a.m., a concerned citizen called the 911 emergency call center in reference to 2 suspicious male individuals by a residence in the La Grande Princess area on St. Croix. Officers discovered an open door where inside the home, they say personal items, including the keys for a pickup truck, were taken. The victim in the home stated he fell asleep and had the door unlocked. The suspects were intercepted on a roadway not far from the home, attempting to leave with the pickup truck, and members from the VIPD's SRT Special Response Team, they foiled that escape. The suspects exited the vehicle and fled the area by foot. The personal items were recovered. The VIPD thanks the citizens and the community for assisting with the necessary information they needed to get that information, given a more successful arrest, they say. Well, just a quick note, the Committee on Government Affairs, Veterans, Energy, and Environmental Protection will be hearing some testimony from some senators about the establishment of a new tree law in the territory. Now, the bill is proposed by Senate President Myron Jackson. They say to create a VI tree board and put a procedure in place for the removal or pruning of trees on government property. That legislation will be heard in committee on July 11th. Mario Francis, who is the chairman of the Virgin Islands Urban and Community Forestry Council, said it is important to preserve the heritage of natural forests in the territory. Be sure to count on 2 to keep you updated. Stick around. Your News2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.
It's a pretty decent day and a nice evening across the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix. We're all in pretty good shape out there. Far, far off to the east, all the way off the map, there's a tropical wave that we're going to keep an eye on through the rest of the week, but there's certainly nothing imminent. There is a little tropical wave rolling in from the east, and that'll be here tonight, but there's not much to it. You can see the clouds are kind of encountering some drier air, so we don't expect a whole lot out of this. Here's a different way of seeing things in the atmosphere. This is the water vapor satellite, and the yellow is where there is relatively dry air, kind of in advance of that little system. So our expectations are slim. Here is satellite estimated radar where the showers are falling. The fish don't care, but we do, and we may see a few little showers late tonight into early tomorrow. So we'll go partly cloudy for tonight, 80 for your low, and the better chance for a few hit or miss showers roll in tomorrow. Here they are, spotty at best, 90 degrees with dry air, just kind of chewing this little tropical wave apart. Into St. Thomas, spotty showers as well. And then as we travel down to the south into St. Croix, a couple of showers, 88 degrees. Not a big deal out there, but at least we'll welcome a few brief showers here and there. Waves on the Atlantic side, 3 to 5 feet, and it's a pretty active breeze from the east at 10 to 20 knots. Very similar situation on the Caribbean side, 3 to 5 footers, and also a breeze generally 10 to 15 with a few gusts over 20 knots here and there. The extended forecast does bring in a few showers with that weak tropical wave. Again, we don't expect much out of that, but late Tuesday and into Wednesday, hit or miss showers. It's going to be hot out there, though, with highs up around 91 for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, we mentioned that tropical wave that is a couple thousand miles off to our east and southeast, and we're going to be dealing with at least a chance for some showers tied to that into Sunday and Monday. But that's a long ways away, and there's nothing alarming about this at this point. Business as usual for the most part here in early July. Sandy, back to you.
Thank you. Time for our News 2 weather picture there by Jashara Williams, second grader, sharing some sunshine, clouds, and blue skies. Jashara, hope you're having a wonderful holiday days off there and summer as well. Send us your News 2 weather picture to the address on the screen and tune in to see it right here on News 2. Stick around. We have much more straight ahead. We have News 2 Sports that's coming your way next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. As our summer of hoops continues, as promised, here is more of our exclusive interview with new UVI men's head basketball coach, Jeff Jones. Coach Jones discusses his excitement about coming to the Virgin Islands and what new and exciting events are just around the corner.
When I received the phone call to come, down for a second interview, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. And then when I got here, I was even blown out the water. Besides the paradise and the crystal clear water and the great people, just the facilities and the vision that Dr. Hall has and Athletic Director Ramos has for the athletic department, I fell in love. This is, somewhere where I need to be. I love people's loyalty to the island, their loyalty toward each other. But one thing that I really believe I can bring is bringing people closer to the University of Virgin Islands athletic department and the men's basketball program. I think that we have a lot that we can offer, and I just think people just need to be aware of what we can share with the community. In October, we're going to have the University of Virgin Islands Classic. Everybody knows about the Paradise Jam. Everybody comes out. There are going to be thousands and thousands of people out for that. But we want to let them know prior to the Paradise Jam, we're going to have our own classic October 27th, 28th, and 29th. We'll have Xavier University from New Orleans there. We'll have Florida National University, and then we'll have St. Thomas University there. So we want everybody to come to the game. We want to fill it out and everybody take pride in Buccaneer basketball. Secondly, we're going to have a basketball camp August 10th through the 12th there at the University of Virgin Islands for kindergartners through 12th grade, $75 three-day camp. We'll give each kid a T-shirt, and it just gives us the opportunity to get out in the community and meet people and people to meet us.
And in case you missed it, July 1st was the official start of free agency in the NBA. With millions upon millions at stake, here are a couple of notable items. Pacers star Paul George will be traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, pairing him with newly crowned MVP Russell Westbrook. The New York Knicks' Carmelo Anthony, yes, that Carmelo Anthony, has agreed to waive his no-trade clause if a deal can be made that would send him to either the Houston Rockets or the Cleveland Cavaliers. Good luck with that, Melo, because neither of those teams have anything that the Knicks want. That's it for sports. Have a happy and safe July 4th. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that, Gary. On behalf of all of us, do have a wonderful holiday. And again, we will be back the following day. Thanks for joining us for all the latest in news, weather, and sports. I'm Sandra Dumansing. We'll see you next time.